On August 26, 2021, Youtooz confirmed that they were not only making a FNaF 1 wave of figures, but a Security Breach one as well. This series would include 4 figures and a bonus one for collecting all of them. And on August 29, 2022, this set was finally released. Hello and welcome to Prize Corner, the show where I'm on a quest to review every single FNaF product Youtooz has ever released. Well, ones in the FNaF line at least. Today we'll be looking at the Security Breach series and reviewing all 4 figures. Unfortunately, that bonus item was moved over to a collector's edition for the game instead, so we'll save that for another day. But for now, let's talk a little bit about release schedules. Yay! I've had a cute little trend of explaining how this series works a little more with every video, and today is no different. I don't want what you're seeing to get boring, so instead of doing all the Youtooz stuff at once, I decided to split it all up. The videos will be released like this: Youtooz, miscellaneous, and then back to Youtooz. So what exactly is miscellaneous? Well, mostly Funko, as their merch is plentiful and easy to find, for the most part. Trust me, I'd love to cover McFarlane's construction sets, but wow, those are pricey now. It's just not gonna be possible. So why am I still calling it miscellaneous? Because if I do happen to complete a series like Sanchi or Hex, I still want to be able to cover it. But aside from that, I can also cover random topics as well, such as my favorite merch I own or even merch concepts. Pretty much in between Youtooz is just whatever else I feel like doing. As for the Youtooz stuff, I'll be covering it all in release order with a few exceptions. The Security Breach Collector's Edition will be next. It technically released January 23rd, but that is ridiculous, and I won't make you wait as long as I did for that review. But after that, the only things out of order will be the random Vanny items they just put out. Once I get the slippers, I'll just make a video covering all of it. One more thing. I mentioned it earlier, but I will only be covering items in the FNaF line, so any YouTubers that use the FNaF license in their designs aren't necessary for my collection. Let's just say I didn't really want a bunch of merch for YouTubers I don't even watch just because it had a mini Music Man or a purple guy pogging on it. That being said, if I do have it, I can review it if I'd like, so maybe look forward to a Doggo review in the future. I said this last video, but I'll repeat it since it's on topic. I will not be covering any other merch in order. If I do end up getting the Toy Hex plushies, don't expect me to collect all of Wave 1 before I review them. But if you want more details on that, check out my Funko Pop Wave 1 review. I go into a lot of detail there. And with that, I believe I've covered all that I want to about the rules of this series. And it only took 3 separate videos. That means next review will pretty much just start. So if you're sick of skipping through these openings, look forward to that. Well, that was long. Without any more dawdling, let's talk about the first Youtooz in the wave, Glamrock Freddy. The Security Breach set's got unique box templates. The front has half of the Security Breach logo and some random white dots that I think are supposed to be stars. The text that would have been colored on the regular series is now white with a very faint, hard to see neon outline, which would be cool if you were able to see it, so it doesn't exactly work. The sides and the back show that one scene from the State of Play trailer with the animatronics are on the main stage elevator, which means that all the animatronics are just kinda hunched over. They look sleepy. Oh, and if that seemed weird, this isn't even close to the last thing taken from the trailers over the actual game. That also means the cute back template of the characters being seen through 2 office doors is gone and replaced with the same image of Freddy and Roxy on every single box. But hey, if you're a huge Monty fan, you can now have 9 images of him looking extremely depressed right next to each other. Great! Yeah, I won't hide it. This template design is super lazy. The regular one isn't anything all that special, but even variants of it like the Fanverse figures take what they had and adapt it to those games. This is just so boring to me. And with the Ruin Wave coming out soon, I am just praying that they at least update this template if they aren't just gonna ditch it. Inside the box showcases the monitor room from the trailer that I still think should have had a greater presence in the game, or at least more than it got, which is nothing. But regardless of its relevance, I like how it looks. This huge security room actually does carry the spirit of Security Breach, no matter how much I believe that the inside should have been a charging pod. On the side is seemingly a dressing room wall. It looks nice, but I think it would have been cooler if it was custom to the dressing room of the character featured. Glamrock Freddy's box itself features the iconic front entrance with that golden Freddy statue. The statue looks a bit strange, but it's fine. It's more the rest of this scene that looks bad. I mean, the basic shape is here, but with so little details, without the statue, I don't know how recognizable this would be. I mean, I know this was probably based on this scene from the first teaser trailer, since the game wasn't even out yet when these were being designed. And looking at it, yeah, I guess I can see how this happened. But this screenshot didn't just have a ramp behind Freddy. I don't know, it isn't the worst thing I've seen, but it just falls flat. And for one of the most recognizable locations in the Pizzaplex, that isn't good. What about the quotes? The stage is set, fear takes hold, and on the inside, insanity prevails, which are all text found in the gameplay trailer. Like I said, these were designed before the game actually came out, so there wasn't exactly a lot to go on. So I get using things that aren't exactly related to the characters when most of them haven't even said a word yet, but not in this case. Freddy spoke in multiple trailers. Why not make the top quote, "I think she's found us," and the back quote could be, "If there is another way out, I will help you find it." I mean, maybe they didn't realize that was Freddy and didn't just want to guess, but I mean, Monty's box. But overall, this isn't as bad as it could be. It could be a quote from a completely different character who has no connection to the animatronic and who doesn't even speak like that the entire actual game. Freddy's box is unfortunately going to get a 3 out of 10. At least the quotes kinda make sense? Plus, I don't want to give this a 1 knowing what's coming up. It can always get worse. So you know how I said I didn't mind the stylized version of Freddy's head? Yeah, I mind now. Classic Freddy is such a nothing character, and I couldn't give less of a shit if they decided to be creative with his design. Glamrock Freddy, on the other hand, is a very important and special character to the games and me. And to just not make his face design accurate and just paint over a template pretty much just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. It doesn't even look bad or anything. It looks close enough to the actual model, and for a casual fan, I'm sure they wouldn't notice. But when you really look closely, his head is way too blocky and angular. Glamrock Freddy should be smooth and round. Hell, his whole head basically looks like a big circle. And this just doesn't look like him to me. It's most noticeable with his ears. Those just aren't what they look like. With that being said, even if it was super spot on, it still wouldn't look that great to me because Glamrock Freddy and his tiny ass head just doesn't fit the Youtooz style. Sure, I usually don't mind when the heads are made larger, and sometimes it makes the characters look better, but when every part of a character's design feels tailor-made and expertly crafted to be the way that they are, it's just plain bad when all the proportions are off. But hey, at least I can say they didn't recolor Rockstar Freddy and didn't update literally any part of the model, not even the earring. The pose is classic man standing, but he does vaguely look like he's rocking out. But when compared to some of his companions and the shot of him jumping in the opening movie, it just lacks a little bit of that rockitude I want from a Glamrock animatronic. Especially since they decided not to give him his microphone stand. Even Funko did that. Yet another thing this figure lacks. Moving on to more positive pastures, his body is spot on. If not suffering from the opposite problem of his head, and it feels a little too small. Most easily seen with the lightning bolt on his chest. This is tiny, man. But hey, when my only complaint is that one painted detail is small and the middle segment of his finger is the wrong color, yeah, I mean, that's pretty impressive, all things considered. Some of this attention to detail is insane and makes the head even more baffling. Specifically, his legs are perfect. His oversized birthday cake hatch makes me wish I could open it. And he even has this weird block on his back I don't know the purpose of. I mean, if this was a Youtooz body mold ranking, this would be near the top. I mean, even with the head, it's still good, just distracting. And leaves me wanting a rounder experience. As in, I want him to be rounder. For being an overall mixed bag of nonsensical reused parts and at the same time incredible representation somehow, Glamrock Freddy gets a 6 out of 10. Definitely not a score to scoff at, but of course we could get a lot better, and I'd be hitting myself if I gave him any lower. The next numbered character on the list isn't even in the set. Yeah, for some reason they had Vanny at number 5, even after scrapping her and moving her to the collector's edition. I guess it was too late to change? I mean, even then, number 5? That is weird anyway! But that's an argument for next time, I suppose. The next real character in the set is Roxanne Wolf, or as the website incorrectly calls her, Glamrock Roxy. Why does this set have so many weird inconsistencies? I mean, Monty has the correct name, and they got it right on the box, so how was the easiest one to fix just left like that? Okay, enough complaining about things that don't matter. Roxy. Opening her up, the back shows a fairly generic Pizzaplex themed wall with tires and steering wheels on it. This is based on the hallway into Roxy Raceway, which was shown off in one of Daco's charity streams. And it looks good, if not a little boring. The quotes, on the other hand, are all from Vanessa. You know, the character who isn't anything like she is in the trailers and has literally no connection to Roxy. Isn't foreshadowing fun? I checked the trailers to see if Roxy was maybe on screen when she said this, but nope. Aside from the vagueness of Roxy is one of the 4 characters who Vanessa is talking about, she has no connection to these lines. But the simple run isn't any better. At least these are good quotes. This is just boring. For everything bad I said about it. I don't know, the art is pretty, I guess. 6 out of 10. Even though it isn't immediately obvious to me, Roxy's face looks off. something about her face or maybe just the pose just doesn't quite look right. Maybe it's the Youtooz style, maybe it's just a little too cluttered, maybe it's just too big like Freddy. I genuinely don't know exactly what the problem is here. The head is strange to me, like I said, but that's not to say it isn't accurate. Everything is where it should be. It just doesn't look like Roxy to me, unfortunately. Except for one thing, but we'll talk that in a moment. As for things I know are wrong, yeah, Roxy's holding the guitar in the wrong hand. I looked in all the places I could. There is no screenshot, pre-release or not, where Roxy holds it in this hand. I can only assume this was a mistake, as her little green hair swoop is going the wrong direction as well. This isn't like an awful figure ruining thing. It's just so weird. How did this happen? Okay, enough complaining. That's all I've been doing for this entire video. The rest of this figure looks wonderful. The hair and tail specifically look great. Super fluffy looking. I just want to pet it. Honestly, a great chance for a flocked figure. Ignoring the head, the pose is excellent, even if it is technically man-standing. It isn't referencing anything specifically, but it just screams Roxy. The lean into what seems to be the ending of a sick guitar riff just rocks. Gosh, do I wish the head matched. It just looks like it's getting in her way. Literally everything else about her body design is amazing. Her outfit is great and the guitar itself is well designed. So for a recap, pretty much everything but her head looks straight out of the game. Which sounds not that bad, but I mean, what do most people focus on? The giant head or the character's toenails? No matter what, you can't help but look at the face, which is what seems to be holding all of these figures back. There is actually one more thing unique to this figure. This was the first FNaF character to come with a stand to help her achieve her leaning pose. Let's just take that off and test her standing abilities. Sorry about that. Let's just take that off. Take it off. Oh. It's glued on there. This is an issue that eventually went away, but not before dampening 3 figures in this set and forcing them to have this thing, which has a giant Youtooz logo on it, to always be on their feet. Not cool. I want to simmer it down and say that I do like this figure. It's just that there are a lot of problems with it, and unfortunately, they can't just be ignored. Roxanne Wolf will be getting a solid 7 out of 10. So while I don't think it's bad, I just think that these complicated designs needed a lot more time in the oven. And while yes, I think they have problems baked into the Youtooz brand that just can't be fixed, I think that it would have been a lot better. Huh, sounds like a game I'm familiar with. Well, this hasn't been the most positive video I've ever made. So far, this has been super tough because I do like these figures, so it's not exactly easy to list my exact reasons I don't like them as much. But don't worry, the next figure will be way easier for me to talk about, but not for the reason you would assume. Montgomery Gator. Starting with the box, of course, this is actually amazing! Coming from a screenshot teaser Steel Wool showed off during Dawko's charity event livestream, it shows Gator golf from the perspective of the alligator's mouth. And even though you aren't able to see this from the game itself, it does a good job representing the area and the character it belongs to while being really cool looking. And the quote is from the trailer, but this actually makes a little bit of sense because the quote is often misattributed to Monty.
You will bring me what I want, and if you fail me, then you will. Both of you burn!
Sure, it isn't fully confirmed who's speaking here, but I mean, the voice is British, and clearly coming from an important villain. Why would it be Monty? So while this quote isn't exactly Monty themed, it's a cool quote that I wish was in the actual game, so it gets a bit of a pass because whenever I see it, it makes me happy. And I always read it out like the trailer does. Burn! Maybe I'm being too nice, but compared to what we saw before, this rocks! If the quotes were from Monty, this would be an easy 9 out of 10, but an 8 out of 10 seems fair to me. What's up with the best boxes going to the characters I actively don't like? Alright, now for the main event. This figure is awful. Not just bad, or at least it was well made. No. This sucks in literally every aspect. But I'll start with this. I don't like Monty. His design is stupid and weird. His voice is annoying and generic with lines that sound like this. And the one saving grace is a side story that's only interesting because of Bonnie. I was so ready to like him, to have my mind changed about Monty during Security Breach, during Ruin, during one of the only Tales from the Pizzaplex stories that stars one of the main characters. But each and every time, he is literally the worst part of all of it. Okay, he wasn't that bad in Ruin, but he also wasn't interesting. Why did Chica have to be the one who went silent? But that being said, even with my bias put aside, this isn't a good figure. How about we start with the obvious? Man standing. like the most man standing without just pulling a Funko. And sure, the classics are all man standing too, but when all of the other Glamrocks are at least in a semi-interesting pose, Monty is just standing there with a guitar, which is accurate, I'll give him that. But even then, the design of the instrument isn't even good and it blends too much with his tummy. I'm being petty. Why exactly do I hate this figure? Well, the main reason is the eyes. Youtooz tried to be cute and give him the glasses with the eyes actually underneath. Oh, cool. Can you take them off? Oh. These don't look good. They are tiny, and even with their crazy design, it just makes him look like an old man reliving his glory days. Like that weird art of him in the coloring book. And the cute detail of the eyes actually being under the glasses? Well, that doesn't even look good because they forgot to color his eyes and to give him the dark pits, so they are just sitting on the suit. Yep, like Funko. The rest of his head isn't any better, as all of his proportions feel off. Look at his nose compared to the original game. And then compared to the glasses. Yeah, one is a lot bigger than the other. I mean, they should have realized this looked bad when they had to bend the glasses around his head like a visor. At first, Monty's mouth looks fine, but really look at the original model's mouth. It looks so flimsy and empty in there. And here it just looks like a couple solid chunks of plastic glued together. It makes it just look, I mean, not good. How many different ways can I say it? I'll give you this. The mohawk and teeth look spot on, identical to the game. Especially the mohawk, which would be cool if I even liked Monty's mohawk to begin with, which I really don't. Man, this figure really dropped the ball in an already not great set. And that was only the fucking head! Monty's torso looks fine. It actually looks better than Freddy's, which is weird since they have the exact same chest in the game. It just looks more rounded, which fits Monty a lot less, but it's accurate, I guess. Same with his tail. It's accurate, but I don't care, man. It's Montgomery Gator's tail. It looks so bad. And for the one thing I do actually like, Monty's arms look great. Not because of anything he's doing, just because they are iconic to Freddy and I like the color scheme. Too bad there are only like 2 sets of purple shit on him. Oops. Guess he's mostly lemon lime. Now we get to the last part, his legs. What the hell happened? I mean, I don't even like Monty's gross ass pants. But this is just not the same thing. You can't just put a couple circles on his leg and call it a day. This is a pattern, not just random dots. You got the random dots around him just fine. You can't just add more instead of making a new texture. Like, excuse me? Now he just looks like he's naked. This is almost as bad as his gross ass pants. Almost. Maybe I was being a little hyperbolic, and I lost a little steam after talking about his head, but the heads in the set just aren't good, man. So on the worst figure, of course it'll be absolutely abysmal, but the body isn't much better. This is the lowest we go unless they make an Electrobab figure that pisses me off even more. We are not getting a FNaF Youtooz worse than this. Montgomery Gator gets my very first 1 out of 10. I'm not kidding. The only thing keeping him out of the dreaded 0 out of 10, is the fact that I genuinely don't like Monty. So the fact that this figure sucks doesn't make me sad or anything. The only way something on this show is getting an F tier is if it's the most irredeemable piece of shit possible and is a character I actually care about. And yes, I do have more than just Nightmare Freddy in mind. Well then, that was long and loud. I'm sorry this video is so negative. I just can't help it. If only Vanny was actually in this set. Well, we still do have one more figure. Maybe it'll fare better and end us on a hideout. Last in the set is Glamrock Chica. Chica's box seems like a simple mistake. This is the Glamrock Beauty Salon, an area attached to Roxy's Raceway. This is unfortunate, but at the time we had a unique place for everyone but Chica. So I guess Steel Will just assumed that this salon in Darko screenshots was for Chica. At this point we hadn't seen the bakery, and while that fact doesn't make this a good choice, it at least makes it understandable. At least the art is good? Although the shadows of the characters in the windows look cheesy. Oh, and these quotes? I don't know why, but this seems even more unrelated than it did with Roxy. Maybe because these quotes are about escaping and hers were about running away. I don't know. This box isn't as good, but this time it isn't really Youtooz' fault. Okay, the quotes are, but the art was just their best guess. I'll be nice and say 4 out of 10. The art is better than Freddy's, but those quotes and the poorly agedness keeps it at that level for me. On to the actual figure. I mean, yeah, this is the best in the set. How about we start with no man standing? What? Glamrock Chica is hopping up and down while playing her guitar, which is once again in the wrong hand. How did this happen twice? This is probably the most dynamic pose we've gotten yet. Just like with Roxy, it genuinely looks like she's rocking out and getting into it with her hand in the air. It reminds me of how she rocks out in her room, and what do you know, it adds a lot to the figure, who would have guessed? Me, I did, it was me. Her guitar looks amazing. That blue fits her contrasting pink so well. Thank God they scrapped that old design. That print looks awful on it. And man, I never noticed how weird it was to see Chica with an instrument. I do think that her head is too big, just like with the others, but it's a lot less distracting here since it's literally just a circle. I mean, there isn't much going on. But yes, she is a bit too bulky. But wow, that body is so good. I love Chica's leotard and how well it goes with her leg warmers. And here is no different. Her outfit looks just as cute as ever. Just like with Roxy, unfortunately, a more dynamic pose means a stand glued to her feet forever. I guess it's better than her falling over every 2 seconds, but gosh, this bugs me so much. That being said, this is pretty much perfect. I mean, sure, I have a few complaints, but nothing I'd say that ruins the figure like with Freddy or Monty. So even though I didn't have much to say, I still think Glamrock Chica is going to get an 8 out of 10. She isn't as good as classic Chica, pretty blatantly, but who cares? This is well made and yet more proof that Chica is underrated and deserves much better. And that was Youtooz second attempt at FNaF characters, and wow, thank God they waited till after Ruin came out. Okay, to be fair, this series isn't bad or anything, it's just rushed. I don't know how else to explain it. Unfortunately, the quality I expect from Youtooz just wasn't here this time around. But even though Monty was made, we still got Glamrock Chica and Roxy out of the deal. So while it could have been way better, especially in the packaging department, this is alright. The definition of a 5 out of 10 set. Yeah, sorry, Monty really messed you all up here. Hope and pray that this isn't a sign of things to come. Here they are on the tier list, which of course will always be in the description so you can fill it out alongside me. I'd love to see your list in my Discord server. While you're down there, why don't you tell me how horribly wrong I was and how Monty is the greatest creation man ever thought up? And let me know your other opinions on the set as well. Next episode, I'll be covering a newer Funko product that I don't see discussed a lot that I believe has a ton of potential. So hopefully it will be a lot more positive. Yeah, I'm sorry this episode was kind of a bummer, but till then, see you on the flip side.